following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And Niners divisional playoff week is officially underway. The days are coming at us fast this week as the playoffs roll on. Inside the SWBC Mortgage Studio, Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola. And there's an empty seat here. Mickey, what's going on?
Well, I don't know. Did we lose Everson in the playoffs?
No. We
There
have
he is.
Everson at a remote location. He would not miss this week. This is Niners week. How you doing, Everson?
I look forward to coming in next week after we kick some ass.
There you go.
So, I'm okay.
And when the Cowboys will be facing
okay.
one of Everson's former teams, the New York Football Giants at AT&T Stadium in the NFC Championship game, right, Everson? That's what you're hoping for, right?
Yes,
I know that's what you're hoping. That's what Jerry's hoping for.
That can happen. It can happen. It can happen.
All right, very good. Well, let's get Mickey, what you can't see here, Everson, and all of you listening as well, and even those of you watching, you probably cannot see what Mickey has in front of him. It's a lot of graphics with 49er red on it, which means he has printed out the San Francisco 49er media notes, and he is hard at work preparing for this game.
And what page do you think I went to immediately?
Brock Purdy's page.
Debo Samuel.
Oh, okay.
My man, Debo. So this one, this one stuck out to me.
Finding out where he. Go ahead.
I was going to say this one stood out to me immediately. He is one of three players and the only wide receiver in NFL history to have at least 1,000 receiving yards in a season, 5 receiving touchdowns, and 5 rushing touchdowns, which he did all in 2021. The other two players to accomplish that triple were Marshall Faulk in 1999 and Roger Craig in 1985. So how rare is this guy?
That's very impressive. That's very impressive.
And there's like another full page of these firsts and onlys that he has accomplished in his short NFL careers.
You know, and the other thing that Mickey will be quick to point out this week is that in his little green notebook, he had Debo Samuel rated as one of the top prospects coming out of South Carolina once upon a time. It didn't take you long. You didn't need to go very much deeper into your little green notebook. You knew it. Just like with Micah being drafted by the Cowboys, Mickey said, this is the guy the Cowboys need to draft. Well, Debo was that guy that year in Mickey's green notebook.
Since my daddy said this is a football game.
Spags, I have just found out you do everything but make the best picks, and you check the field as well. So
by the way, since you brought that up, the Cowboys punter Brian Anger, who actually punted in Tampa at one point in his career, he said it was a year or two ago the NFLPA rated the 5 worst grass fields in the NFL. And Raymond James Stadium was among those 5. So my pregame analysis of that poor field was very accurate because it's still one of the worst 5 fields in the National Football League. And as Anger said jokingly, they're in Tampa. They're in Florida. They get rain. They get sunshine. They ought to have the best grass in the NFL, and they don't.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. Bill, I'm sure you're already working on the other 4 fields, worst fields in the NFL. I know you're looking it up. I can just feel it.
Let's hope it's not Santa Clara, right, in Levi's Stadium.
And so I think maybe what we talked about yesterday, it might be that Tampa, they play too many games. They have, University of South Florida plays there. They've got the Gasparilla Bowl there, another college bowl game. There's probably high school games there. They play too many games there. And so that's why the Cowboys missed 4 extra points the other night.
Now, how about this? Also, that came up yesterday when we interviewed, when John Fossil had his conference deal. Press conference.
And by the way, it was very interesting. Normally, all 3 of the coordinators are available the day after the game. Now, this is a short week, but they made sure that the special teams coordinator was available the day after that game.
Well, he didn't have to probably spend as much time on his game plan as the other guys did.
That's exactly right. They'll be available later in the week.
Friday. Yeah. But he also pointed out, so I don't know if you guys heard this the week before, that, and I forget which team did this, but they were putting a marker on the field to place the ball down on place kicks. And the NFL sent out a memo saying you cannot do that. Well, what the Cowboys had been doing, and Anger, who's the holder, said, when we get like a field like that, he goes, grass field, I will go get a piece of white grass, and I'll put it on the mark where we want to put the ball down. And he said the official came up to him and said, you can't do that, and swiped away his spot with the white grass. It wasn't like it was elevating the ball like a tee, right? And then the other thing that took place, and I think I might have mentioned this yesterday, and I don't remember, but each team has 3 K balls, meaning those are the balls you kick with. So Anger pointed out that before the game, they get those 3 balls and they can rub them down to get the shine off. And he said, we spend 45 minutes with the first ball. He goes, about 15 with the second ball. And we're figuring by the time we get to the third ball, we're probably not going to need that, right? And he goes, well, on the first 2 bad extra points, the balls went into the stands. They lost them. So there was a discussion on the sideline, what are they going to do if they lose their 3rd K ball? Were they going to have to go to Tampa Bay and say, we need to use one of yours? So that became a discussion, too. Not to give any excuses for missing 4 extra points, but all I know is that turned into a national story because last night at the opening of Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, he brought up Brett Maher, who I'm sure he had never heard of before, and they showed the highlights of all 4 missed kicks, one after another, after another, after another, on national TV. Unbelievable.
America loves a good failure.
Yeah,
we just live on that.
But they did.
It just feels our soul. It feeds our soul. It really does.
But at least they showed the one he made. So, and my thinking is for Brett Maher, the kickers are always saying, "I'm just trying to go 1 for 1," and you hope he keeps that in his mind that those are gone. And next game, I got to go 1 for 1. Those 4 misses don't count.
All right.
So he will be here next week then.
This week.
Yes. We have not seen any tryouts going on this week out on the practice field here at the Star.
Now, if that was Jimmy now, if that was Jimmy, that'd be a whole lot different. We have a lot of guys out there kicking.
In fact, I got a text from a friend after I think the second missed extra point the other day, and my friend said, "Where's the asthma field?"
Yeah.
Okay, Mickey.
Yes.
We've had an open locker room already today?
We did, because that's where I listened to Brian Anger speak. Anybody else you want to know about?
Well, you tell us what we need to know.
J-Ron Curse seemed kind of confident that he'd be ready to go in this game. I've been told by two different people that they felt like he would have a good chance to play after spraining his knee. He said this one wasn't as bad as what he did. And I think we forgot this. He did that in the season opener and then missed like 2 or 3 games, off the top of my head. So yeah, he was pretty confident that he would be ready to go, and he didn't want to hear any of this stuff about everybody thinking about the loss from last year to San Francisco. He said we have enough motivation on our own to not have to bring something else up. And he pointed out that maybe for a week he kind of seethed over that loss, and then he got over it.
Okay, here's a note on Jaron Kearse and the knee injury. You're very close. In fact, you are right on. Against Tampa Bay in the season opener, on the 42nd defensive snap of the game, he injured his knee. Against Tampa Bay in the playoff season opener, on the 42nd defensive snap of the game for him, he injured his knee.
No way.
It not only was against Tampa Bay, it was also on the 42nd defensive snap of the game.
Impossible.
Yes, and in fact, he did miss the next 3 games against Cincinnati, the Giants, and Washington. Cowboys cannot afford him to miss the next 3 games.
Yeah.
Are you reading from that same? Are you reading from that same thing? Remember whether they were making touchdowns on every interception?
No, that's a Pro Football Reference.
That's not from that publication.
No, this is from my big black Dallas Cowboys season notebook that I keep. I chart all of the snaps for players all season long here, and that's why I didn't have.
It sounds kind of made up.
Nope. It's right here. 42nd snap of the game. But that is big. Kearse needs to be ready to play and play in a full load on Sunday against San Francisco. Wouldn't you agree, Mickey?
Yes. They sure could use him, especially since I guess I didn't realize this going through all this red ink release here, that against Seattle, they were trailing 17-16 at halftime. They ended up with 500 yards total offense. 500. Mm-hmm. So the offense better function because they're going to get theirs. Now you got to make sure you're getting yours. That's the way I'm going to look at this one.
Hey, can I? I have an issue. I have an issue in regards to the narrative that's out there. All of a sudden, it's really flipped in regards to the Cowboys offense and how
it's amazing, isn't it?
Are. All of a sudden, I mean, it's really been flipped on its head, right? And when I look at the game, of course, damn good game. Dak did well. Kellen Moore, man, I didn't get to talk about it yesterday, but just an excellent job. Clearly, they were holding out against Washington. I think we can all come to grips with that. They were holding out. But this particular game, they let it all out. They knew exactly what was going on. They anticipated everything well. There are times, take away the interceptions, but there are times when Dak has done a lot of this stuff before, right? I mean, of course, this was an excellent game, but it's not leaps and bounds, guys. He's kind of been that guy. Once again, mistakes here and there. He's kind of been that guy ever since he's been back. I mean, I don't know. Is that just me thinking that?
Well, here's what's
Especially
happened.
when you look at the points per game and things of that nature.
Yeah, and here's what's happened is everybody has all season long concentrated on the interceptions. And as Mike McCarthy said, I concentrate on the productivity. And his productivity in these games have been amazing when you figure that in that 9-game stretch, they averaged 36 points a game, right? 36. So has he had a couple bad games? Yes. But here's his quarterback ratings since he came back from the injury. 113.2, 114.5. In the loss to Green Bay, it was 78.6. The win over Minnesota, 139.3, then 91, 100, 70 against Houston when the entire team struggled, then 107, 124, and that was against Philadelphia, 85.6.
That's
and
right,
then Washington, unfortunately, it was 45.8. So if you look at his efficiency in those, 11 games? 5, 10, 12 games. Yeah, he's been pretty damn good.
You want me to do Brock Purdy now?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, 88.8, 134.0, 117.0, 114.6, 95.4, 141.2 in the playoff game, 131.5.
So efficient. And here's what I forgot about them. The 49ers, they started the season off 1-2 and 3-4. Mm-hmm. And then they won now 11 straight games. 11.
And how many points are they scoring? Since Brock Purdy started playing, they have played because he did not start the first game. He came in off the bench because Garoppolo got hurt, and they scored 33. And he came in early in that game. He threw 37 passes, so it was basically a start. It doesn't count as a win on his record as a starting quarterback, but it was. They have scored over 30 points in every game but one against Seattle since he started playing. So we're talking 6 regular season games and 1 postseason games. So 6 out of 7 games they've got 30 or more points. It's very similar to the 9-game stretch that Dak had, and you throw in the playoff game for Dak, where he was averaging 36 a game, and now you got another one.
Well, even before he started in there with Garoppolo, I see a 37, a 31, and a 38 until they got to that New Orleans game when it was 13-0. Was that the one Garoppolo got hurt in?
No, he got hurt in the Miami game early.
Miami game?
And
okay.
Purdy came off the bench
and
led him
to
the win.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So maybe you should predict your score off your gas tank fill-up.
I think so.
But to me, guys, it just seems to me that in order for Dak to get any type of credit, and this offense, period, Kellen Moore included, they damn near have to be perfect. That just seems to be the narrative here.
And that's the way they were against Tampa. They were damn near perfect against Tampa, right?
Damn near perfect. That's it.
What did Seattle? Did they finish with a winning record? Were they 9-8?
Something like that.
I want to say I was just looking to see.
Yes, they were 9-8
during this
9-8
during the
9-9 now because they lost
these winning streaks. New Orleans losing record. Miami, I think, had a winning record. Tampa Bay losing record. Seattle winning record. Washington finished 500 thanks to the Cowboys. Vegas and Arizona losing records. So their streak down their stretch. They were playing teams darn right should beat. And and if you look at the Cowboys, if they had beaten those 2 teams that they had 14 and 7, was it 17-point lead and lost both games in overtime, they're the number 1 seed. So I think the narrative Everson brought up is the fact that had they not had those 2 hiccups, they would have been talked about just like this team right here.
All right, we got so much more to talk about here on this edition of Mick Shots, and we will continue in just a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home, have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, and that would be capepostcompany.com.
All right, Nate in Frisco has chimed in, and he has made the comment, good or bad, I need rookie Dakota. Meaning, I think, limit those turnovers.
Yes, absolutely.
Which Dakota did a very good job of limiting those turnovers against Tampa Bay.
He was very judicious with the football. I think I saw him throw the ball away a couple times, and I saw him take off and run, and with positive yards, by the way, a couple times too. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 times. Let's see here real quickly. He ended up running 7 times for 24 yards with a brilliant call for a 1-yard touchdown, by the way.
That's exactly right. All right, and we'll reconnect with Everson here shortly.
I've got one for Nate in Frisco. He'll love this.
Okay.
I think we talked about the offensive line yesterday, the hat that Avante Collins had. Follow the offensive line or something to that effect. So I saw a little panel that I'm not going to have a lot of respect for. ESPN put out their top 10 rookies, right?
Okay.
And of course, they're all cornerbacks, wide receivers, running backs, and I believe there was one offensive lineman, Tyler Linderbaum. Is that his first name?
Baltimore, center.
Then they had 10 just misses. Tyler Smith was not among any of those. And I heard Troy Aikman say during the game, after Tyler Smith had to change from left guard back to left tackle midstream, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said this guy should be on some sort of all-rookie team or rookie of the year for what he's been through. And these guys had no idea who Tyler Smith is, I guarantee you. Because think about where the Cowboys would be if this kid was not playing at, 21 years old? Mm-hmm. At the level he's playing at right now at 2 different positions and had trained all summer at guard. And 10 days before the season opener, they go, oh, no, you're the starting left tackle. Not the right tackle, the left tackle. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we need you to look at playing guard. And so they move him into guard. And then it's like, okay, but you know what? However many snaps into the game, you go back to left tackle and played well. And they are going to need this offensive line to play well against that San Francisco front to be able to score the amount of points they're going to need to score if they want to win this game.
And you look at the position of flexibility that Tyler Smith has and what that's done for the Cowboys, even here in the last 3 games, because it was in the Tennessee game where Biotish goes down with the injury, and so he moves inside after 62 snaps at left tackle, final 18 snaps of that game at guard, plays guard in the season finale against Washington, first 33 snaps at left guard. In the playoff game against Tampa, Jason Peters goes down, and he slides back out to left tackle for 36 snaps in that game. And now you're going up against the top defense in the league and the top sack artist in the league, and Nick Bosa, who had 18.5 sacks this year. And it's going to be on the rookie at left tackle and the future Hall of Famer coming back from his injury, Tyron Smith, at right tackle to take care of that pass rush.
And they like to use their linebackers, too, to pressure. Probably one of the reasons Fred Warner has made the Pro Bowl team. He's going to play a big part in this game if he can hold up his end of the bargain.
And it was Everson Walls yesterday who was very quick to point out the performance of the Cowboys' offensive line in that win over Tampa Bay. Everson.
And he's there in picture.
Oh, only picture only. All right. We thought we had Everson back.
Thought we had him. Bring him on in, right?
But, that's huge for that offensive line to continue to play like they did the other night. And now, you can't afford to lose anybody on that offensive line.
Yeah.
From a depth standpoint.
Right, because because it doesn't look like Peter's going to get back in time. So Josh Ball's your backup offensive tackle. He's the last man standing, other than maybe Avante Collins, who has played in the league. But I think they look at him more as an inside guy, just in case something happens there. So it's thin, but these guys have to play and have a game like they did this past game, protecting Dak the way they did.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to get to, either from the locker room today or from the press conference yesterday with Mike McCarthy, as well as Bones Fossil?
Yeah. Mike McCarthy pointed out that in these playoff games, one of his big points is you can't win without big plays, and that's playoff football. And if you look at this past game, the Cowboys had 6 plays of 20 yards or more. And I will check myself to make sure that my memory is good. And Tampa Bay had 2 plays of 20 yards or more, and both of those were towards the end of the game after the Cowboys had built up that big lead. And not only 6 plays of 20 yards or more, they had 4 more of 18 yards. So they hit some big plays. And his point is you've got to have big plays. And I think that's one of the things San Francisco does pretty well with their big plays in games. And so these defenses are going to be tested in this game, no matter how well they've played previously.
Okay, in just a moment, I believe we got Everson back. We're going to make sure on that. But what I want to get to with Everson here in just a moment. What I want to get into with you, Everson, when we come back here in just a moment is the Cowboys secondary and what the 49ers present offensively that's different from Tampa Bay, that might put a little more stress on the cornerback position for the Cowboys. That's when Mick Shots continues in just a moment.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more. Back to Mick Shots.
Just steps away from the Dallas Cowboys world headquarters in Frisco, visit the Star District, your destination for excellent dining, premier shopping, and exciting events. Visit stardistrict.com for more information.
It was a great place to watch the game on Monday night, in fact. Of course,
were there a lot of people out
show.
here?
I was not out here, but I did see on DallasCowboys.com the pregame show with Kyle and Nate and
Haley.
Isaiah, Barry Church, and there were a lot of people there. And you wouldn't believe the number of people that were at AT&T Stadium. That's where I was at the watch party, and I did some hits for not only CBS 11, but for Cowboys TV on the pregame show, the outdoor venue at Miller Lite Plaza, and it was packed. The gates open at 5:30, of course, a 7:15 kickoff. I got away just before 7 o'clock. And the line of traffic, it looked like the Cowboys were playing a game there. There were so many people lined up to get into the parking lot, and the parking lot was filling up very quickly. And so that was a great place to watch the game. And by the way, speaking of how many people watched the game on Monday night, Cowboys versus Buccaneers was the most watched NFL playoff game since 1999, with a total of 30.6 million viewers.
Wow.
So there you go.
And they wonder why they call us America's team. Wow.
Yep.
And
go figure.
You wonder why they had a Monday night playoff game, which now will go for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This is a staple after that.
That's right. And so 30.6 million viewers watch Dallas versus Brady. So how many people will watch on Sunday when Dallas faces a quarterback who beat Brady 35-7 a few weeks ago, Brock Purdy? It's funny going from the greatest of all time to Mr. Irrelevant.
To the last pick in the draft.
That's right. All right, Everson.
I kind of have, before you go on, Bill, that Mr. Irrelevant term, I have to say, I guess I'm always fighting for my place in line. I think, free agents are probably more irrelevant.
That's right.
When it comes to the draft, okay? Undrafted free agents, you can't get more irrelevant than that. So I take umbrage with that term being attributed to him having such a hard road to hoe. You understand?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. In fact, the name should never have been Mr. Irrelevant. It should have been Mr. Relevant from the get-go, because you are relevant going into training camp because you're a draft pick, right, over an undrafted player.
You are officially a draft pick.
They've invested something in you. That's
right. They had a check for you. They had a check, and it was bigger than the check that I got, I promise. So, yeah.
You mean the last pick in the 12th round in 81 got more than you did?
I'm pretty sure they did, yeah. I don't know who that was, but I'm sure it was more than $1,500.
All right, I'm going to look up who that was. But in the meantime, Everson, I want you to tell me against this Niners team and what they do offensively, the weapons they have on offense compared to Tampa Bay, what kind of stress does that put on the cornerback situation with the Cowboys? Because the Cowboys, and also with Curse's injury, and we're going to hope that Curse is able to come back at full strength, but they used Curse in a big role in that game, even against Chris Godwin, their slot receiver, and then Mukwamu came in and played a big role as well in the slot. Now, what about the cornerback situation this week going up against this team?
What you have with San Francisco are a number of receivers that are very skillful after they catch the ball. You know, when they catch the ball, it is not over. Matter of fact, your problems are just beginning. We talk about Debo and how well he is. I am sure between he and Ayuk, if I say the name correctly.
Yes, you got it.
Number 11, playing wide receiver on the other side. I believe he had his first 1,000-yard season this year, and he actually gained more yards receiving than Debo. You have got also, talking about Curse, I don't even know if Curse can help here, but you've got one of the toughest, grittiest, craziest tight ends I think I've ever seen in the NFL. This guy Kittle is strong, and he's elusive. He is Gronk, whatever, 4.0, whatever, because he has the ability to break tackles. He runs excellent routes, especially for a tight end. And I have seen us, even with J-Ron out there, have some problems with good route running tight ends. And of course, everyone is. So that's always Purdy's outlet, just like Dak Prescott, just like any other quarterback that's heading up a high-powered offense. And it's going to be an issue in regards to how much we want to go man-to-man, okay? How much we want to blitz as well. Because if you're stuck with these guys one-on-one, once they catch the ball, you have got to bring them down. A broken tackle leading to a long play or a touchdown, that can be disheartening in an environment that the 49ers are playing in.
Well, let me give you a little backup on that. Ayuk finished with 1,015 yards receiving. He averaged 13 yards a catch, had 8 touchdowns. But Kittle led the team in touchdowns with 11. And one of the things Mike McCarthy pointed out yesterday in his press conference was going to be the importance of tackling. Tackling will be very important in this game because of their ability to run after the catch. And even tackling when you're trying to deal with McCaffrey, he's late to the game there, and he still had 6 touchdowns along of 38. So, again, he said tackling will be at a premium in this game.
Okay, Mr. Irrelevant from Everson's draft in 1981. Thank you, Producer Supreme. Phil Nelson, a tight end from the University of Delaware, a blue hen, was drafted by the Raiders with the 332nd pick of that draft, and he was cut in training camp. So he truly was irrelevant.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So there's another...
Thank the Lord. I was a blessed man. I was a blessed man.
There's another number for you to chew on. 332 people were drafted, and you were.
So Everson, that means that you were the 333rd pick of the 1981 draft by the Dallas Cowboys.
And I ended up being pretty relevant.
Yes, I would. If you don't say so yourself. All right, speaking of relevance, Mickey, as you jot down notes from whatever Everson's saying during this show, because you're going to write a column on it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. What else do you got on your notepad there? And we don't have time to get into this today, but one thing I want to get into in the next couple of days is Tony Pollard versus Christian McCaffrey. And how important both of those players are in this game. I've got some interesting numbers to throw at you, which I'll save for tomorrow. But the Niners starting off with a 3-4 record this season, what kind of turned their season around was a little trade that they made to pick up Christian McCaffrey, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you just watch this last game, watching them on the field, he's amazing. He's amazing how he squirts through holes. He sees things awfully well.
Are you talking about McCaffrey or Pollard?
McCaffrey. But Pollard, too.
That's my point.
I think you're exactly right. It's both. The fact that they just need a little crease and they can jump through it. And even Pollard, he's hard to tackle once he gets going. So, that's
which one do you think is more powerful? I think Pollard might have a little more explosion as opposed to shiftiness that McCaffrey has. Maybe, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I
can't see McCaffrey with power. I don't see him with power. I see him with more elusiveness.
Well, I saw him moving the pile a couple times.
Could be.
So, I was trying to look. The Cowboys have played San Francisco in at least 4 NFC title games.
Well,
3 in the 90s, right? Consecutively.
That's right.
The 81 game.
Mm-hmm.
The ones in 70 and 71, those weren't title games, were they? They were just like first or second round.
I know
games.
the 72 game, which was the Tony Fritsch behind the back onside kick,
right?
Which was the birth of Captain Comeback, was a divisional playoff game. It was not a conference championship game.
Right.
And I'll have to look up on the rest of them. If you give me 2 seconds, I will find that for you. 1970, but it is interesting. They did face the Niners in 1970, leading to the Cowboys' first Super Bowl appearance, the loss to Baltimore, and that was a conference championship game.
So that's 5.
And then in 71, they beat the Niners in the conference championship game, 14-3, and that was the first playoff game ever played at Texas Stadium, by the way. Cowboys started the playoffs in the divisional playoff round at Minnesota that week, and then got the home game against San Francisco for the conference championship game, and of course beat the Dolphins for their first Super Bowl win that year.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Did is his name not Hicks? Oh my goodness, the running back that played for the 49ers. He was a kick returner as well. On the break or whatever. Let me know if that guy returned the opening kick for a touchdown.
Which game? Vic Washington.
San Francisco?
Yeah, Vic Washington. Vic Washington returned a kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown in the 30-28 game that the Cowboys won at Candlestick Park in 1972.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was good.
So,
I like that guy.
So
that was good.
The amazing thing was, after playing them so many times in playoffs, after the Cowboys lost to them in that 1994 season NFC title game, they didn't play them again in a playoff game until last year.
That's what happens when you don't go deep in the playoffs for 27 straight years, Mickey.
Or maybe them too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Cowboys were in.
So the Cowboys were.
No, not deep.
Yeah.
Just
anywhere.
In the playoffs.
Well, that's why when you made it to the playoffs, 10 times over 27 years? I think it's what the number is, something like that.
No, I think they were. Mm-hmm. I want to say they were 4-11 after 95.
Yeah, but you're winning some playoff games.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying just times
in the playoffs. Yeah.
Right.
Cowboys, though, were 3-0 against the Niners in the 70s. and then 0-1 in the 80s. So a 3-1 record, and then 2-1 in the 90s. That gets you to 5-2, and then last year's game 5-3
all time.
Yeah,
but the wins were champion.
I think I went to the 72 in Texas Stadium. I think I was there. I was like real young. It was in 72, you said?
That would have been 71.
The 71 season, but it might have been
71.
in 72 by the time they played them, maybe. It might have been January.
And we won that, right? We won that game, right?
Yes.
It was a 14-3 win in 71, and it was actually January 2nd, 1972. And the previous year also they played the Niners in the playoffs. We'll back it up here. Which is 1970 season. And that was a January 3rd conference championship. I was at San Francisco. So, Everson, there was only one of those playoff games.
Was in Texas Stadium.
Which was the first playoff game ever played at Texas Stadium. So that's what's so great about.
I was up there with the birds. Yeah.
The birds.
But that is for us old timers. That is the one thing when the Cowboys are playing the Niners, and just the memories of all these great playoff matchups going back 50 years, basically. It's fun to see those two teams go at it again. And we talked about it going into last year's game, and now we do it out on the West Coast this time.
And I'm proud to say I was in that little interview room at Candlestick Park when Jimmy screamed, "How about them Cowboys?"
I was too.
Pretty amazing.
Yep. And you're right when you said little. That might have been the smallest locker room area ever.
You know, our TV director here, Scott Purcell, figured out, he was looking around and knew, the last time the people on the staff now that had been at that NFC title game, he counted 6 of us.
Really?
And Scott and I were 2 of them.
Do I count?
I think Jim, well, you know what? He should have counted you.
No, you do not count, Bill.
I think he meant
you do not count, Bill.
Does Nate? Nate count?
The people that were at the game.
Nate was at the game.
Monday night?
No. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about this. Okay, I got you.
This playoff game, Monday night.
I'm going to be in San Francisco.
Oh, well, we'll just add to that list then.
So we need to do the number.
Jim Maurer was one of them, the Cowboys trainer.
We need to do a picture. Take a picture.
Scott and I did, by the way. I don't know if he posted it or not. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about out of time on this edition of
already?
Big Shots. Yep. It's amazing how time flies like this.
That flew by.
Okay, so Everson.
Yeah, when you kick ass, time flies very well after you kick some ass.
That's right. That's why Everson's relevant career flew by so quickly.
So we'll hope for good weather tomorrow because they will practice tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, actually, you're going to decide to practice for this game.
Yeah, and Friday, by the way.
All right, very good.
So they'll get 2 really full practice. They'll do one today. It's just a walkthrough. But
when you say full practice, like is it pads?
1 pad. You only get one. You're only allowed 1.
1 per week or
per week?
Okay, you can wear 1 pad.
1 pad.
And so, so they have this narrative, right? They have this narrative that came through. I mean, for them to even ask the question, do the Cowboys have to worry about fatigue? I can't see fatigue.
All right, we're going to talk fatigue, and we'll talk Pollard versus McCaffrey on the next edition of Mick Shots with you, Everson. All right, thanks for joining us for this edition of Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?